International History at the University of Turin and author of Imperial Perceptions of Palestine. He joins us now from Rome. Lorenzo, how concerned are you right now about regional escalation?
Obviously, all the signs are for an escalation. You were mentioning now southern Lebanon, northern Israel. There are about 60,000 Israeli citizens that have been evacuated, and many others evacuated independently. Why? We know that Israel is using white phosphorus. This is putting civilians at risk, and of course, we know that white phosphorus is there to make this place like Gaza Strip for other reasons unlivable. And we know that this, in the long term, the use of white phosphorus and so on causes a lot of malformations and so on. So all these elements are there to remind us that an escalation is getting closer and closer.
Lorenzo, are any of these regional dynamics that you're talking about now, are they likely to impact negotiations given the state of the talks, perhaps imbue them with a little more urgency?
Yes, first I would like to stress that you are putting this question in a timely date. Today is June 14, and there are two important anniversaries. On June 14, 2007 is the moment in which Hamas, is the day in which Hamas took complete control of the Gaza Strip, and Fatah was driven out of the enclave. And possibly the second anniversary is even more important to understand the dynamics that we're discussing in the present. 76 years ago, today, on June 14, 1948, the Israeli government established a cabinet committee that was to decide the treatment of Palestinian refugees and also their abandoned properties, I use this with quotation mark, within Israel. This led to the so-called absentee property laws through which 2 million students of Palestinian land were confiscated and were given to the Israeli custodian. This created a number of new categories, like the present absentees, persons that were at the time present on the ground but were considered absent for purposes of the law. So in this sense, we need to always take into account when discuss the present that at the time, hundreds of thousands of Jewish immigrants, following the establishment of the State of Israel, were absorbed by taking possession of Palestinian homes and lands. This is to say that to discuss regional dynamics, so to discuss what is happening in the Gaza Strip, we need to provide context, because either the context is always necessary, and this should be the case, or is never necessary.
Well, Lorenzo, given the history that you're describing there, that this very, very long history of dispossession for the Palestinians, what might that mean in terms of ongoing negotiations about trying to end the current conflict? Obviously, everyone is very much, I guess, set in their ways. Everyone has very, very deep background when it comes to the way that they're negotiating. What does that mean going forward?
Yes, let's say that to understand this, to consider, of course, the Biden plan. So in the last few weeks, as you are documenting, the controlled detonation of entire residential areas, particularly in Jabalia and Gaza and other villages and cities in the Gaza Strip, have become more common. And remember, the Biden plan was mentioning that the Israeli withdrawal from the populated areas. And these two aspects are crucial. So detonations and the withdrawal from populated areas. Why so? Because once that the urban areas are razed to the ground, they are not included in populated areas. And so in this sense, their systematic destruction is not accidental. So when we speak about deal, both Israel and Hamas have both said yes to their own version of a deal, and we need to look into the details to understand these deals and this kind of approach. So once again, saying that we accept just one, so our version of the terms is a pattern in this conflict. Is a part of what we've seen, for instance, in the Barak plan or in the Omer plan. It was always like that. So it was 97% of the West to the Palestinians was said, but it was the 97 that Israel in that case was disposed to negotiate. Everything else was outside. So in this sense, when we discuss about peace deals, these patterns are very visible.
Lorenzo Kamel there, Professor of International History at the University of Turin. Thank you so much for joining us on the Al Jazeera NewsHour and sharing your insights there.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.